brain slews, slick with ectoplasmic juice. Ecstatic energy, a fire that fuels our memory. With genealogy, with spiritual topography. Questions for your answers, we are data necromancers.
1942. A year after Pearl Harbor. Is that right? 1941 was Pearl Harbor.
Today's episode is brought to you by Pearl Harbor.
Thank you, FDR. There are some of us who think he knew they were coming and didn't do anything ahead of time.
I was just watching about that. They did, and they were like, that's America. They're not gonna...
They can't touch us here.
They don't know that if you fuck with us, we're gonna kill all your civilians.
All your civilians belong to us. The bartender dude at Texas Chili Parlor was talking to me about all the conspiracy theories about the government yesterday.
How? Chili parlors were huge in the late 1800s. Is that an old chili parlor?
It's super old.
Because looking at it on the map, I was like, God, I bet you that's been a chili parlor for over 100 years.
Yeah, on the menu, I almost took a picture of it. On the back, it like tells the history of it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And it's like so close to the Capitol. So like congressmen would go there and
get their dick sucked and eat a bowl of chili and have
I don't know who's
wicked diarrhea.
Who's sucking dicks there, but
with the cactus petal. I remember reading about like the proliferation of chili along like there's a crazy route, a trail right over here at the intersection, which makes sense like energetically, that goes all the way down to Mexico and beyond, and that's how they would walk up here. That's how they would travel up here. But I was reading about the proliferation of chili and how it was something that it was stable and you could bring it for long journeys. And I was like, yeah, and have wicked diarrhea.
Yeah.
But I also don't know, it's like, do people from Central and South America, they eat way more chilies or or they just like having diarrhea? I mean, because the pepper inherently does not want to be eaten. So does it just tear all of us up? And
yeah, I watched a show that was about like Mexican treats.
About diarrhea.
And one of the people speaking was like, some people think that Mexicans have stronger stomachs or something so that they can eat more chiles. But in reality, they have the same guts as everyone else and they just suffer IBS more often.
Because to them,
because of all the chiles.
Worth it.
I mean, it tastes amazing. And I don't necessarily want to say this on a microphone, but yeah, I've been struggling. Post-chili.
Texas chili, though, is so fucking good. Like, when I grew up, chili had all this shit in it. Mm-hmm. It's got a million different things in it. But down here, it's like all the emphasis is on the sauce and the blending of the sauce and the different kinds of chilies and then meat. And that's like a harken back to when this is what they would bring. They weren't
that's
like,
what Texans would claim is real chili.
They wouldn't sit and grab all these like vegetables on the way. It was like, no, it was blended chilies, meat. And that shit rocks my world. Like, it is so fucking good, and it shits on the stuff that I grew up with, which I was always trying to like find a vessel, like
a can of Hormel or something.
No, my mom made good chili, but it had like 2 kinds of onions and then 3 kinds of beans, and it had all this stuff that I was kind of like always picking through, and then it had like big chunks of tomato in it, and it was like a bowl of Lucky Charms, but from the underbelly of some strange prairie person.
I love that stuff.
But I want to put it on something crunchy. Like, there's like a textural thing that's going on that I would prefer it versus like the really good sauce is like...
I had mine in the form of a Frito pie. And I was a little upset that they didn't put sour cream on top. And
you're like, it is 2020. So you did get chili.
Yeah.
What did it, please describe everything.
It was exactly as you described.
Did it come with cornbread or anything?
I got it on Frito pie.
That sounds so fucking good right now.
But honestly, it could have been better. It wasn't
Yeah.
very well seasoned.
Well, I didn't know this about you because I guess we don't go out to eat very often.
What?
When we go out to eat at a restaurant, you're like, huh. And I'm like, not a fan. You're like, needs salt. And it's like, it reminds me of eating with all the people from Otogo. It's like, we don't fucking go anywhere.
Right.
We tempura pizza slices. And like,
Yeah.
you know, like, because the world in your own kitchen is far more advanced, more fun, more frivolous versus
Yeah.
going out. You're like, I'm paying what for this?
Nah, it was good. Like, the Chili's, I like the heat level. The heat level was nice. So on their menu, they're like, at the top, it's like traditional, you know, this is the legendary Texas bowl of red. Like, you can get it 1X, 2X, or 3X.
Does it come with a hooker on the side like it
Depending
used
on,
to?
yeah, depending on how spicy you want it. So I got 2X, but they also had like black bean and beef and sausage chili. They had like a white bean and pork chili. They had a veggie chili. They had like cool stuff going on, and I wanted to try the thing that was like what they were known
quintessential.
for. So I got it as a Frito pie. So it came in a bowl that was like pretty deep and had like a handful of Fritos at the bottom, a fuck ton of this saucy meat chili, and like a sprinkling of cheese on top. And like, it was delicious. I had to add a ton of salt periodically as I was eating it. But I really wanted some kind of cool reprieve from the spiciness of the chilies, which is when I think like green onions, sour cream, like that kind of stuff comes in and makes it like such a more complex and like well-rounded experience. Because yeah, I fucking love the flavor of meat and chilies, but it's like, what if I could have that plus
Well, I always feel that way too. I'm
more?
like, but it's 2023 now, and I have a refrigerator. Refrigerants have been invented,
Yeah.
and I have access to dairy that's already been processed.
It's so yummy.
You want to bring in the modernity combined with the, you know, the staple of Texas history.
Yeah.
I
It's
was
just like making it more interesting to eat.
Yeah. And it's cool, like, when you go down to Mexico, there's city squares, like, in every city you go to. And it's just, like, music and food and pastries and just so much shit. And you wonder, you're like, why don't we fucking have this up here? But down there, it's like, which chili lady to me had the most people? You know, it's like,
Yeah.
and that's who you're gonna...
That would be so fun.
You were gonna energetically pick up on which chili.
Who's got the best shit?
Who's got the best shit versus, you know, the lone woman. You're like, I don't feel sorry for you. I want the shit that everybody's in line for.
I hope it's not a popularity contest.
No, because you're peeking at the food.
Yeah.
And you're like, well,
How come nobody's eating your food, ma'am? I'm worried.
Because it gives you the itchiest butthole.
Yeah, that's true.
Dude, I could fucking... Oh, that sounds so good right now. Yeah, whatever recipe Lucas found.
Do you
want to
go to Texas Chili Parlor?
I'm not going to make you eat. We can go there another day.
I'll just extend my IBS for a day.
Well, that is the last thing I need. Lucas and I allegedly sold the BMW, so we'll see. I am so paranoid that I got a fake check. We went and celebrated by going to that decadent restaurant.
Crave.
And it was so funny because it's like, I don't have to do dishes.
I could just eat and walk away.
Do these people not realize? It had just been a minute since we had been anywhere that was of that caliber. And we got the Wagyu meatloaf cupcakes.
Yes.
God damn, everything needed fucking salt though. I just like don't, but we teach classes and people get so paranoid about salt. I don't like, and I'm like, okay.
Like, oh, that's a lot of salt.
But let's talk about this. This is meat. Like, this is protein. This is a special chemical reaction. It happens between muscle fibers.
It's
and
so
sodium.
worth it.
And but it was decadent. You know what sucks though? Okay, I need to fucking vent about s'mores pie for a second.
S'mores pie.
So they had like a smoked s'mores pie. So this is like a smoky place. Like they smoked stuff.
Right up your alley.
Yeah. Smoked s'mores pie. Sounds great. This is what it fucking was. And I was like, y'all, you know, I'm in this restaurant knowing that it's going to last maybe 5 years. There's no fucking way you can get away with having a steakhouse anymore. You just don't make money.
Oh, like they can't fill the seats?
No, it's packed. Do you know how expensive meat is? You do not make money in these restaurants. It was the fall of Central Standard.
Yeah.
These rich people are like, we're gonna open up. It's gonna have they had lobster corn dogs there.
Oh shit.
They've got truffled gnocchi, shaved. I'm like, oh, yeah, y'all aren't gonna make it. You cannot sustain this
that's absurd
menu at all. And it was okay. S'mores cake to me in my realm would be like layers of graham cracker cake with like marshmallow and then maybe like a thick layer of chocolate on top or chocolate drizzle or okay, this is what I fucking got. Big gelatinous slices of fucking marshmallow, like huge, 4 of them.
Oh no.
Chips of graham cracker.
Okay. In between?
Yep. So like flecks of graham cracker. And then they torch it on your table and stuff. And Ruby, she's like, they're ruining it. Because she hates the burned black stuff. And I was like, I didn't want to eat it by myself. I wanted to try it. And now my daughter is like writing this. They ruined it. They burned it all up with fire. Yeah, she was like, I don't understand why they would do that. And I tried to get her to eat it. She's like, no, this is awful. And I was like, look, the marshmallow absorbed the butane perfectly. It was actually really gross. It did taste like butane infused.
No.
But I was like, a s'more is a texture lover's dream like myself. It's crunchy. It's got a little bit of soft. It's melty. You get this nice chew from the chocolate bar. This is a fucking abortion of the fucking marshmallow man. Like this is the whole thing was just like, I was like, oh, it's a show. This is a show, and it cost $1 to make. So hopefully enough people are ordering. I should have gotten the Kahlua Budino. Fucking should have got that.
Kahlua Budino. But you know, that would be sickly sweet, you know? Like it wouldn't be thoughtful. I feel like things are not, I don't know. There just seems to be this proliferation of cooks who make food, but they don't really taste what they're doing. And they don't make it like rounded out. Like that sounds like a sugar fest. And the reason why we like Aaron's dessert so much is because he remembers that you need salt too.
Dude, Sarah, okay, I have a friend named Sarah who is a pastry chef, and she baked a big fucking multi-tiered birthday cake. And I went to her house because she was potty training and needed some support.
Yeah.
And she gave me an extra cake.
Whoa. Because
she makes, you know, as, I don't know, whatever bakers do, they've got an extra cake. And she's like, here, this is for you. And I'm like, do you want my money? Like, what the fuck do you want? She's like, no, just like, let me know what you think. And it was a pistachio hazelnut, which I'm like, those don't get my dick hard, but I eat anything, so I don't care. But there was a pistachio cream, hazelnut cake, and then there was like a thin layer of maybe like a custard on top, like a white chocolate custard. Like it wasn't frosting, but it wasn't like flan, but somewhere in between.
Yeah. And
it was so fucking good because it wasn't sweet, but it wasn't overly nutty, but it wasn't the white chocolate. I was like, I don't like white chocolate. But this didn't.
It was balanced.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck is this? I mean, it was just so. That's how you know you found a good dessert, when you could eat the whole thing and your teeth don't hurt.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of blowing your mind flavor wise.
Yeah, overly sweet thing or just like solo one note sweet things kind of piss me off. I'm like, get this out of my face. There's so much on this planet that you can be eating and you're just gonna eat a spoonful of sugar. Fuck you.
Except for Erin's chocolate pie. Because sometimes I'm like, chocolate pie. It was that pudding and some crust. But then you eat
so silky.
Then you eat it and you're like,
so silky.
whoa.
So chocolatey.
There's like coffee in it and dark chocolate and not a lot of sugar. And, you know, there was a
The
lot more
chocolate
going
has
on.
depth and personality.
Yes.
So worth it.
We are hungry.
Yeah, I am really hungry.
Let's see, it's been 16 minutes.
So the Wagyu cupcake did not...
No, it was pretty good. I don't like meatloaf because meatloaf to me has always just been a fucking cheeseburger without all the good stuff.
Huh.
Growing up, I'm like, this would be better with American cheese, pickles, mustard, and in between two pieces of bread.
Sure.
Like, what the fuck are we doing? What is it, the Depression era? Like, it's like going to I went to, what's the big battle on the East Coast? In the Civil War? Gettysburg. I called it Regrettysburg because there was nothing to fucking... There's not a restaurant 50 miles.
There wasn't a Boston market?
I was like, McDonald's? Anything? Nothing? Like...
What?
Oh, God, that place... I was like, this is dumb. It's a big field. Everybody died.
Fourscore. 7... What is it? 7 years ago?
Well, I think we were just in a 91 GTI with no AC. I was just being cranky. But it's like, we've got hardtack on the menu. I'm like, nobody wants to eat this. It's just like one of those, but it came
put
with
this
like,
in your cheek, it'll
came with
moisten.
like a sauce, and the mashed potatoes on top is and the meatloaf was like very juicy and it wasn't like dry, and it had a lot going on. So it was
nice.
Like they obviously know that's
good. Meatloaf cupcakes.
Ruby thought it was frosting.
Yeah.
She's like, a cupcake. Was that a potato? Yeah, she's like, ew.
Makes me want to eat mashed potatoes. Oh, tomorrow we get to make mashed potatoes.
I am so excited. I saw that on my calendar that I get to help you with a 20-person fucking class, and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah. One person is vegetarian, halal. So I have to figure out what that means. I think it just means you can't eat meat. But I don't know if there's like certain cheeses that are not halal or certain whatever. But I'll figure it out.
Do you ever notice though, like a host says that and then you talk to the person, they're like, oh no, but for this it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Like the host is trying to be super respectful, but the person's like, I came to a fucking cooking class, I want to fucking eat. And you're like, oh well, I'll put this tempeh chicken rotisserie.
Every time. Like one
Yeah.
time the host was so adamant about this person being a vegan and like really stressed the importance of their involvement in the class and like our accommodation of their veganism. So I like prepared a whole tray of like vegan Caesar ingredients, and like
Ooh.
I made them a separate dessert that was vegan instead of the tiramisu.
So much time.
And this is the lesson. The lady walked in and I was like, here's all the stuff that I have in mind for you since you're a vegan. She was like, oh, thank you. I'm not a vegan anymore, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking duck. That's the last time. It was fun practice though.
Yeah, but it would it kill you to like maybe hit that person up and just confirm like, hey, are you partaking or are you not? Like, I need to know, because this is 3 extra hours of prep for you. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like that person the other night who was like, can I join the class tonight? Like an hour before it began.
No,
I just don't think
we got that email at 5:16. Hey,
Yeah.
I just tried to book it, but it's not there.
Yeah.
I'm like, the class starts in fucking 10 minutes.
it starts at 6:30.
Oh, okay. So she was an hour ahead.
Yeah,
thinking
but
that.
still,
Okay.
the people don't really consider what goes into the production of.
They
a cooking
think that
class.
we are. It'd be fine if we
like
owned
it's
a
a school.
store.
Yeah, like there's 20 people all here doing this thing, and they just want to drop by and add on. But it's like, no, I'm not even teaching that class tonight, babe. I was teaching risotto.
Did you end up hearing back from her?
No, she contacted us on Instagram too.
And and I'm guessing you replied to her too, and she
Yeah.
just like fucking disappeared from the realm. That was that lady that booked the last cocktail class. I'm
For
like,
real?
No. I mean,
I thought
like,
it was the
just
same person.
spending $200 and then just fucking MIA. And I'm like, okay, well, if you checked our policy, it's like you're not getting that back. And I don't know where you went. Why did you leave?
Yeah, she saw my message 17 hours ago. If you're out there,
you could just say like, hey, I'll call you whatever later. Like just something. I don't know. Fucking anything.
yeah, it just makes me wonder if she emailed us too. She didn't email back at all. Case closed. She still has a reservation though.
Dude, Megan was showing me the coolest diorama. Okay, so you've filmed with somebody named Tyler at Austin Public Access.
Yeah.
And Tyler has his own show called God Morning America. Is this the same show or has he moved on to a new project?
It's his project called Laserfish Space Punks. He has like this incredible world building ability. He has this world where the laserfish exists and there's like, it's sort of parallel to our world, but it's like gnarlier and it's like in space, and there's like analogs to our world as far as like government goes and like fighting for civil rights and things like that. But it's separate from God Morning America. Although the laserfish were somewhat involved in God Morning America, but it was like a much looser affiliation.
But you were showing me that his neighbor, who's like this cute little Steven old guy, built massive dioramas. They're massive.
Yeah, he's an artist, like and a sculptor, and he uses like trash and toys that he gets from thrift stores to create these really cool
sci-fi,
dioramas.
dystopian.
Yeah.
And you were there in the middle of the night, and it's just like flashlight on it. I was like, oh fuck yeah!
So such cool stuff. And the last Rubbish Cook, the huge pizza that I did, he built that kitchen set, that little kitchen diorama as well.
And he's doing it for fun.
Yeah, it's his. He used to do it professionally. Like he used to.
I feel like he must have been
art.
quintessential, because old Austin, you'll see there's a half of a crashed Pontiac in the side of a building when you're going off of 183 North. That is like an auto repair store, or there was a computer store that's since closed down that had all these sculptures of like computer people coming out of it, and you're like, oh man, Austin in the 80s must have been it
just
was
like cool shit.
It was Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah,
like that. The Pee-wee's Playhouse vibe was like thriving down here. In Austin it's like you either went to Houston or you went to Dallas, and that's why Austin stayed so small for so long.
Yeah. But there was also like was it graffiti, like that like crazy graffiti area where everything was covered, and then there's like the Church of Trash. Wasn't that something well?
I don't know where that is.
It was like an appreciation for art that was
a lot of artists.
It was on a level, I don't want to say highbrow, lowbrow, but it was like much more campy and like kitschy and like recycled kind of hippy dippy crunchy stuff.
In Cherrywood, there was a house I would walk by amongst all these like fucking old 1800s. Like there's one really long narrow window, you know, like spooky houses. But there was a woman whose entire fence yard house, you know, she had been there 30 years, and it was like recycled decadence.
Yeah.
I was like, I bet that bitch knows some stuff.
Yeah. And I think that there's this quality of like sterilization and gentrification that's taking over.
I think that's because the people building, there's no more designers or architects. It's like they've got it's like anything that's new they're not spending money on that department. Which is such a bummer, which makes everything look horrendously ugly, uniform, and homogenous, and businesses don't thrive in them. They're like, I don't understand why.
Nobody wants to come here.
Everybody's sharing 2 walls. You know how much space you're saving? It's like, have you seen Santorini? It's like they thoughtfully designed
and that's,
buildings.
I think the lack of thoughtfulness when you're making a design. As humans, we like things that are pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, and we
things
don't
that are thoughtful.
Do you want to go in a restaurant that's at the bottom of a mixed-use condo? You know how good that restaurant would have to fucking be?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm gonna stay home. Like, I don't know. Like, what are you offering that?
Yeah, I think that you could impose a certain type of charm in that kind of space if you were sort of like reflecting on like, oh, we're in, you know, like this gross space.
Redid the Rainforest Cafe concept, but dystopian sci-fi punk.
Fuck yes.
And every server's tits are hanging out.
Or booty cheeks. Or I almost said scrotum.
Scrotums. Oh my god!
Like an outfit that has like a scrot hole.
Our fucking employees, like, only your scrotum's out.
Let me see that scrote, boy. What you working with?
It's like the thing nobody wants to see.
It's like for women, it's like you want to see her breasts because it's like her fertility. It's like, well, I want to see your fucking balls because I want to know how fucking fertile you are. All right. JK. No, but I do have this dream of opening up a restaurant where it's got booths, and each booth is like a different sort of kitchen. Like a kitchen idea. Like, here's a kitchen in the 1800s.
You and I need to go to, I think we've brought this up before.
Yeah.
To the big fucking fancy hotel downtown.
Four Seasons?
Fairmont.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's stages in different countries. It's like a big stage. It's a big production stage. And then there are different restaurants. And this is Japan and this is Italy. And they like built it.
At the Fairmont?
Yeah. On the ground. And then there's like an avatar fuckulus tree in the middle of everything. It is so weird. I do not know what the fuck is going on. And then at the very end of the stage, I was in a competition that was sponsored by Campari the last time I was there. I got so fucking blackout drunk. I was like standing in the middle of this fucking Disney World food court production TV stage being like, where am I? And this like German exchange student says, you're at the Fairmont. Are you hungry? And I was like, you serve food here? I thought you slaughtered humans.
Is it edible?
At the back, there's a big house. And there's a porch. And you walk into the porch to get to the southern restaurant.
What?
Yeah.
I thought we've been to the Fairmont. Isn't that where TLV was?
No, that's Fairgrounds.
Oh,
this is a hotel.
Fuck. Gee whiz, that exists?
I don't know if it still exists, but we should go look at. I'm
game to try.
I was like, how is this concept working for you guys? Does it work?
It's amazing. That's all I want. Yeah, I shouldn't have come here so hungry. Fuck.
We typically do, because I guess you and I both wake up early and then we eat something at.
I just had tea. Because I'm out of coffee.
Oh.
Well, okay, so you sent me something via text that was something that you were watching. What was that?
It's a whole series about channeling. So that particular episode was about...
What'd you stream it through?
It's called Gaia.
Oh, it's like a channel.
On Amazon, yes.
Oh, okay.
And they were talking about, well, it was funny because they were talking about how like the history of the women have been wiped, but then they were focusing on the woman who was Pythagorean's
Pythagoras.
His teacher, who he learned everything from, because there were these the caves of Delphi. You've been letting me say guillotine, and it's guillotine this whole time.
What? You can say guillotine.
I thought you can say guillotine too.
Guillotine is the French pronunciation.
That's what I
But it's a
thought.
cognate in our language.
Yeah. Lucas was like fucking ripping me hard, and I was like, dude, I've heard guillotine.
People
more
say
frequently than I've
guillotine
heard
in the English-speaking
guillotine.
world. Guillotine is a French pronunciation.
Um,
You're from the Midwest. I gotta let you pronounce things like Midwesterners do. Or would you prefer I stop you every time and say...
I like you bestowing linguistic knowledge on me. I need to be carved.
Whitney is pronounced guillotine, by the way.
And could you please say
You
it
piece
like
of
that?
shit.
But they're talking about how there was gases that would come out, volcanic gases that would come out of certain crevices in the cave. And most of the time they were toxic, but there were some ladies who'd go into a full-blown fucking trance. And it was so crazy because...
That was the Pythian oracle.
Yeah, that's who you saw. Like, you went there to get the knowledge, and that's where they were connecting, like, the father of geometry. Well, his teacher was another oracle of Delphi. Like, all of this, the birth of math was, like, coming out of these women.
Yeah.
And it was quickly squashed because they were pagan, you know?
Well, the Pythian oracle is an interesting example of like the wisdom of women, because they were completely like controlled and interpreted by men. Like there was a priest to each oracle who listened to her message and then told people what she said. So it was always through a mouthpiece that was male.
Why? Because
they were in a trance, and what they were saying was nonsensical for the most part. And so only those priests would be able to access that knowledge and then share it with people. So it's always been sort of like controlled by men.
So where do you get geometry from? I didn't finish the episode either because I was falling asleep, but they did talk about there being translators. There had to be translators.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Where does geometry come from?
Well, do you think these women were full of shit and the priests are just coming up with stuff, or like, what's your take on it?
Well, my mind keeps going back to this image from the movie 300, where Leonidas goes and visits this Pythian oracle.
Oh.
And so it's literally a very young virgin girl who's like posted over this like crag in the earth, and she's like breathing in these like toxic fumes.
That's like so cool to me for some reason.
And so she goes through this like crazy like trance mind consciousness altering process, and then this like disgusting deformed priest guy like goes over and like listens to her whispers and then tells Leonidas like what he must do. And that's like, of course, the Hollywood version of the legend of this practice. To me, I think the fact that there are noxious gases involved in going into the trance, there's something odd about that. But that said, maybe that kind of like divinely bestowed knowledge can't access your human consciousness unless your like defenses are dropped, sort of. So you have to like impair your amygdala or like impair your prefrontal cortex so that you can be open to receive that type of information.
So I do it sober because my teacher is very, very stern that you have to do it.
Yeah.
So sober, because she says everybody can do this. It's not that fucking hard, but we're also distracted and we have all this, rust on our personality and our functions and emotions that kind of just...
The things that sort of govern our perspective.
That fuck it up. And I've done enough therapy, drugs, meditation, like the whole thing, the whole ball of wax.
Yeah.
To just kind of turn it on and turn it off. Lucas also is really good at it, but he ignores his guides a lot.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which is funny, but he recently started listening to them again. Ooh, put a pin in that. I have a story.
Here goes my pin.
A violent carve awakening. Carve is the name of the restaurant.
Okay, got it.
With the Wagyu cupcakes. We're going there for lunch in 20 minutes. Anyways.
I crave.
So, it was very clear in a Zoom meeting we were talking about channeling that a lot of people get high in order to channel.
Yeah.
Like half the class was like, okay, so, oh yeah, me too. And she fucking shut that shit down so hard. And I was like, you have to release a lot of for a lot of people who are still struggling with trauma or who they are or their ego or life, have to put those defenses down to gather information.
Right.
Now, in the Himalayas, which is how Ram Dass pronounces it. Yeah. Those gurus are constantly channeling information, and they don't eat or drink. They don't do anything. They just sit there. So it's different all over the world, and so many practices have oracles or channelers, and it's been a thing for 1 billion years. There was this lady that they kept bringing up, which I haven't looked into. Her name is Jane Roberts, and this was early 60s, and they were kind of focusing on professing atheists who were like
Richard Dawkins.
What the fuck is happening to me? They were like, I don't understand. Like, I am so against this language that's coming out of me. I don't believe in the Catholic Church or Christianity. So they were kind of focusing on those people because it's more profound. Like, why would this...
Yeah, because it sometimes follows that somebody who believes in something is going to find it wherever they look. But if they don't believe and they experience it, that gives a little more...
Whoa, yeah, what's happening? They also
credibility to the experience.
About the woman who channeled the entire book, A Course in Miracles, and she was a psychology professor. Staunch atheist her whole life. Freaked the fuck out like when this stuff started happening, and that's always interesting and kind of fun to deep dive on.
Absolutely.
And so this chick, Jane Roberts, it's called the Seth video, she's smoking cigarettes and drinking beer because she needs to, and they kind of brought that up on the episode, like, whatever, it doesn't matter how you get to where you're going as long as you can do it. Some people don't need anything. Some people need the thing, to get into that state. So it's funny that
some people emphasize sobriety.
These Delphi ladies are like, killing your brain cells, but you probably have a lot more access to things we shut out or naturally filter out.
And I don't know what the selection process was like for them because they were young, like virgin women, and so I'm not sure that they were like, I want to be an oracle at Delphi. They were probably forcibly made to have a trance, or I don't know, because religion back then was so intertwined with everything else. Like, there was no life without considering the gods and their impact on all of your everyday tidbits. Like, everything was very much just like, this is the explanation for why we are here. There's nothing separate,
I was thinking the other day how the strong fucking grip that organized religion has had on modern society was the perfect tier for political control. It's like, oh, this led to this. Like, this makes sense. We have,
of course,
we have a hierarchy. We idolize strange things. We get on strange teams. We have completely...
It's us versus them.
It's us versus them. We've surrendered our autonomy in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, it almost seems like it was inevitable.
Yeah, like, this is what they wanted. You wanted to control the masses, and now the Pope is the CEO of Pfizer, and it's like, you listen to everything they say, and it's holy, and
But our world, the way that it is, would not exist in this way if there wasn't the Catholic Church, you know?
No, it just seems so sinister.
It's been around for like 2,000 years. We have no framework to consider a planet or even an existence without it.
I was watching the Boy Scouts
Ew.
expose documentary.
Ew.
Yeah, like a fucking... Oh, but it was just perfect. You know, all these priests who become Boy Scout leaders.
Ugh. I just want to protect children. Can we just protect children?
There was a sex ring in Atlanta that preyed on sons of single mothers who would whore them out to people flying in from all over the world because they got to do whatever they want. It's like, man, fuck. There's a lack of mothers here. You know, it's like...
Yeah, it's I mean, it harkens back to like what the Greeks believed the true definition of love was. It was the love between an older man and a younger man.
I don't know if have I told this story on the podcast where I was at HEB and I was walking in and I got fucking blasted with pedophilia energy and I was like, I got sick and I had to like pull over at HEB and stand and stare at like all the prepared food because I was behind two people.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, who do I call? What do I do? Like I was in panic mode. Mm-hmm. And I was sick and I was ill from...
Oh, I remember that story. Didn't you tell it on...
As I was checking out, they were buying a bunch of toys.
Yeah.
And this is a grocery store.
It's...
So it was like confirming like this weird blast of...
Yeah.
So I'm just like going to the grocery store. Gotta go get peanut butter and jelly. And it was like... Boom, and I was like, oh, no! I was like... I thought about maybe next time that happens... following them to their car, getting a license plate, and then just calling the cops just to say that they
Here's
did something.
a heads up that you might be able to prevent some bad things
or
from
just
happening.
make something up. I don't know what the cops would need to hear in order for them to take it seriously and go check them out. But
probably that you saw the person do something violent against the kid.
Yeah, and just be like, okay, just please find them. Find them and find out what's going on.
Because it'd be better to raise the alarm and there'd be nothing wrong and then... not
100%,
rather than not do anything
100%. But I brought it up in my class because somebody was like, has anybody ever witnessed or seen or felt something that they didn't like to talk about or see? And people, like, she brought up something that she saw that was like gross and egregious and gory that wasn't physically there. And I was like, yeah, pedophile energy fucking blasted me out of the grocery store. And everyone was like, what did you do? And I was like, I fell and collapsed in the prepared food aisle. Just waited for my mind to
recalibrate.
Yeah, it was so bad.
My mind keeps going back to like
fucking Minecraft stickers, man.
How the practice of older people like either marrying or like taking into custody like younger people, for a long time that taboo was not socially enforced. Like it was the opposite. Like men would be wed to like incredibly young girls.
Like, yeah, your period, right? Sick. Let's fucking party.
Yeah, like that is how our species operated for a long time. And then like to extend that to the ancient Greeks, it's like there's nothing wrong with being homosexual, but the fact that they have to be younger is what's so fucked up to us.
That was part of the... God damn it, here we are talking about pedophiles, s'mores cake, god damn it. That was part of the manifesto of that prolific, violent, disgusting serial killer of children in the Midwest. Don't remember his name, doesn't matter.
So when you say prolific, what do you mean?
He murdered and raped and tortured a lot of kids for many years.
Because prolific means that it's like...
Ooh, thank you.
Widespread and like...
Well, he went all over the country. I'm using that wrong?
I just think there's a better word, but I can't figure out what it is yet. Because prolific is like successful and abundant and like creating a lot.
I'm always thinking bacteria is prolific. Like what is...
Yeah.
like growing rapidly.
Yeah.
Spreading.
I don't know. I'll put a pin in it.
Put a pin in it. But he was like, sex with kids isn't always bad. And I'm like, okay, I want to talk to you. Okay. Before I cut your throat.
Yeah.
Your car was found full of rope and tape. Does that suggest to you that it's okay what you're doing and that it's consensual? Because to me it does not. It means you have to capture.
Oh God. I just think there's a whole group of people who don't think about consent at all. And there's like this rampant...
Confirms my belief that an alien fucked a monkey. And now there's...
we have this.
There's abnormalities in...
Well, it's like that's the Robin Thicke song that got him effectively canceled, called Blurred Lines. It's like, I know you want it. Even though you're saying no, I know you want it. It's like, but wait, this is not... How could you think you know what I want more than I know what I want? There's like this dissonance between
his mom told
expectation.
Him he was special and grandiose and perfect, and everything he did was gold, and there should be a mom jail. Where if you raise that was another mom that I thought should have been in jail, was the mother of this famous child rapist. It's just like, well, and you find out he grew up in a super religious home, devout.
What type of religion?
That's good. I should look it up.
Just some kind of extreme twisted version of something.
So who knows what he was exposed to, but I'm like, your mom needs to go to jail. Like, you can't. Everybody that was okay with you is not okay.
Do you think that it's possible for someone to develop these tendencies independently of sort of the nurture side of things? Could it be genetic?
I'm sure it's like the predisposition in epigenetics might be there, and everybody has a different nervous system, and that's why siblings from the same home turn out differently, because everybody interprets what they've been through completely differently. We cannot expect.
Yeah, and everybody has different personalities and like the different facets
and different sensitivities. It's like I look at my dad's family and I see, like, witnessing and hearing about what they went through as kids. I'm like, wow, my dad must have been really sensitive, and that wasn't fostered or nurtured or protected. He crumbled under the neglect and stuff. So whereas his siblings didn't. Well, maybe it was different in other ways, or but it's hard to say. Also, shout out Denny's in Idaho, because the server at Denny's was the one who picked up, because he had brought in a victim alive to the Denny's, and the woman was like, she was dirty, she couldn't speak to me, she's like, I knew something was wrong. And then her manager's like, oh my God, that's the missing girl. Oh. And they called the cops, and he was like picking up that he needed to go. And she's like, oh, it's so weird. I can't get your receipt to print out. She's like, I was talking slowly. I was walking slowly.
Yeah. Holy shit. She must have had like all the hair on the back of her neck standing up doing that.
I was like, why don't you just take a fucking dinner plate and bash his head in? I was like, if I would have seen that, I just would have like just beaten him. I don't know. It's like,
I think if you had like 4 or 5 people with you and you were all about to beat him,
I'd be like, go lock the fucking front door. Yeah. Like, this is about to go down.
I think it's scary when you don't know how a person can react,
But to me, it's like, I see these men who cause so much destruction. I'm like, you're still just a fucking man.
Yeah, you're just a pile of bones and blood.
You got away for so long. I also think it's really bad policing. But
so they got him. And so do you think it would have been a worse fate for him to be beaten to death in that Denny's?
No, I want him to stay alive. To prison. I do not want him to get the death penalty. It's why I don't really believe in capital punishment. I want him to
think about what he did.
I want him to be alive for as long as possible. alone, probably, because I'm sure people like that,
They call them chomos in prison.
Yeah, like they find friends and create societies within prisons, but I'm like, no,
they don't.
They don't.
They are tormented.
He allegedly had a husband who helped protect him in prison, and
yeah, I guess if you have that ability to like pair up with someone.
He was also molested. This is interesting.
It's either steak cupcakes or fucking pedophiles. So what can we do?
Look, this is how we cope, okay? This is why we cope. This is how we cope. This isn't for you. This is for me.
Let her talk. Stop interrupting her.
He had been molesting kids since he was like 10. Like, it started with him when he was like really young, and he'd been in jail since. But it's so weird to see these pedophiles and these sex offenders get 2 years, 3 years. You're like, but she was 4. It's like, I don't, like, that seems like the most dangerous person to put back into society.
Well, I'm sure they appeal to like mental illness, right?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's so scary.
You can be mentally ill and rape 4-year-olds, and you shouldn't be let back anywhere. You should go to an island.
You should be given a nice, sweet pair of cement shoes and take a fucking ride on a boat. God bless them. Kill them all. Let God sort them out.
Let's start over, shall we? Welcome to episode 54.
So, we were talking about this show about channeling using your womb, or like information coming in through the womb. So I Googled it, of course. I want to get a little bit more context for it. And so I found a website called woombinwellness.com.
Woombin Wellness?
Woombin. Instead of woman, it's Woombin. So there was an episode of a podcast called The Highest Self with Sahara Rose. So I had to see what this podcast was like, because it was touching on a lot of things that we talk about all the time, like creating a relationship with your body, like feeling grounded, sort of overcoming the feelings of anxiety and helplessness and vulnerability by going inward and sort of searching within yourself. I was like, fuck yeah, like this is what we need. This is what we're doing. And so I started listening to this podcast. And so it's a woman named Sahara Rose who... she was talking about the womb as like this physical and energetic portal for the creation of life, and how important it is for women. She was calling them women.
I like that. It's re-emphasizing this channel or portal.
It's super powerful, undeniably powerful organ. And my knee-jerk reaction to this emphasis on the importance of the womb, the yoni, like the energetic portal that creates all life, my knee-jerk reaction was negative. And I was like, what? Why am I feeling like this is not the right thing to emphasize? And I didn't get to listen to the whole thing. I want to finish it when I get home and make some more notes.
Well, you and I have commiserated on our tomboy trauma.
Yeah.
About how to be more accepted and to be funnier and to like squash down.
Yeah. You sort of de-emphasize your femininity.
We're thinking of, did you have any female role models in your life that were... it sucks. It's like I want to use strong, but that's like not what I want to use. Like really awesome,
like capable, totally independent,
like Janet's.
Yeah,
I didn't have a Janet growing up.
I didn't have a Janet growing up either. And I guess female role models like Martha Stewart, you know. But like my reaction to this emphasis on the womb as being like this super powerful connection to like the energies of life. It's like, well, isn't that incredibly exclusive? Like, why would only 40% of us have that access to divinity, right? Like, so not just men who are wombless, but what about women who don't have a womb or had their wombs removed, or their anatomy is different? I just feel like the emphasis on physical anatomy, I don't think that can really get to the truth, like the whole picture of the truth. I feel like it's incredibly reductive, and I don't know if looking at pieces of the truth can really give us a cohesive vision of reality.
Well, maybe swing the pendulum into this, because you are kind of unearthing you're unearthing slivers in this.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, what is this? Why not just let the pendulum swing into appreciation of those who had a womb at some point?
Yeah.
And what does that, just like go into that reality for a little bit, just to see, versus like the inherent part of us that wants to deny or scrutinize.
Honestly, it makes me feel incomplete, because...
But you have one.
Absolutely, but I'm not using it to create life.
Right, but these women weren't either, the ones that were channeling. Like, they just used their womb as the portal, which
like a magnet?
Yeah, and that's what I thought. That's why I sent it to you, because I was like, okay, we've talked about this before. You don't have to bear children, but you've got this thing that can bring energy. It's not inert just because there's not a child in it.
Agreed. And I don't know, it just makes me think of like, what about other mammals who also have wombs?
What about them?
Do they also receive information there from
Probably.
the
They
divine?
survive and they fight and they battle and they proliferate and they...
I just think about a little mouse who has a womb and she's like suckling her pups. It's like, why would we have some type of divine access through our wombs if they didn't?
Well, who's saying that they don't, though?
I don't know. I just assumed.
You're just bringing... No, don't assume. That's what I'm saying, is like, break down all the assumptions and scrutiny and just explore it.
Yeah.
Just to see it, because no one's saying that a mouse's womb is not magical.
Well, I guess I was assuming because like humans seem to have this higher cognitive level that we can access.
I'm sure they're accessing it too, but based on there's a bunch of factors, the size of their brain or whatever, but they're also all functioning in a realm that is probably far more tapped in than most of us ever get to.
Tapped in is a great thing for us to explore, because like, is that what instinct is?
Right.
As opposed to, we have this strong tendency to use reason, and we think that reason is somehow
I think it's all the Romans' fault. Like,
sure.
It feels
the
like
ancient Greeks who emphasized the quality of being able to
because they were
be rational.
Because men were mostly pondering versus women. It's like in Hermetic philosophies, women are the negative charge. Negative not meaning reductive,
just like the other side of the equation.
Negative carrying the electrons, like the subconscious
sort of activator.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about the womb as like the seat of intuition in that way, because like if you want to make like a dichotomy between men and women, men have like the rational reasoning faculty, and then women are somehow left with this lightning rod that gives them feelings, and they have to interpret what the feelings mean, because we've developed language and words, and that's how we communicate with one another, as opposed to just me being like
knowing, instead of you just knowing. Right? It's like,
you know, and like trying to telepathically give you a message, as opposed to like fitting it into the symbols that
Yeah,
we use
'cause
to communicate.
I feel like we've all lost our instincts. Like, it's the only reason we've got this far, because we've removed a lot of the predators and it's just not really necessary. But I'm like, it is. Maybe not from running from something with sharp teeth, but
Yeah.
from the guy who's going to skull fuck you until you're dead. From, that's the stuff I can't wait to teach my daughters, is like, if you
Anticipating.
feel this way, also this is a red flag and this is a red flag, and
Yeah.
you can, how do I develop your intuition versus giving you rules,
Mm-hmm.
and that seems really important. So, and it's something that has just been absolutely torn from everybody.
Because of the emphasis on the
Reasoning
physical,
and the
the
thinking and
mechanical,
yeah.
What you can test and experiment
And
and prove.
I think it can be hard to develop your intuition and use it and listen to it in a realm that is based in reasoning and thinking, because you're like, well, wait,
Absolutely.
I felt this way, but then this happened. But if you expand your intuition even further, you'll see why that happened. Versus seeing it, then I got into a car accident. It's like, yeah, but then the car accident led you to do 2 years of physical therapy, which led you to meet this other, being able to expand out, like, hey, it doesn't make sense right now, babe. Pay attention.
That sort of makes me think about that concept of like God's plan, and how like you may not understand this part of the plan, but it's all contained in God's
which is really just yours.
Right. If you consider yourself to be an expression of divinity, which I think Christianity, there's a lot of separation.
Yes, they've made it that way. Like, you see these dudes with these big jewels on their fucking big dumb hats, and you're just like, that doesn't woo me. Or, churches used to be the tallest building, and
Right.
it's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
We don't have to look up and out. It's inwards
Right.
to see who's valuable in their wisdom and their divinity.
And that was like Martin Luther's main thing, in the Protestant Reformation.
Are we going to become Protestants? Is that what that is? Or Martin Lutherans?
Lutherans. Yeah.
Are we going to get lutefisk and become Lutherans?
Well, no, because I don't.
Ooh.
Oh,
How'd you guys get in here?
jeez.
Oh, there you are.
Nor I don't consider myself to be Christian.
No, me neither. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I just think it'd be fun. Oh, I was listening to Night Owl Podcast, which is the podcast that they investigated my house on, and they were investigating where they do one of those Halloween haunted walkthroughs.
Yeah.
Because despite, it being a haunted house, these actors were always experiencing stuff off hours.
Oh,
And then
I see.
They find out that, like, we go to abandoned hospitals and we get all these instruments, and then there was this casket left here, and we opened it up and we found all these pictures, and we put the pictures everywhere, and you're like, oh, you guys are like fucking with shit that you shouldn't be fucking with. But it's a bunch of old Austin artists who thought that the casket was cool. Well, they come to find out that the warehouse where they were having this haunted house and where they found the casket that came with the building, because to the people who own the haunted house, are like, this is so great, like, this is perfect,
This is spooky stuff. This is gonna spook people.
$5,000 casket was a church, and they wouldn't say which one, and this church religiously performed many exorcisms. Like, that was their thing. Was exorcisms and stuff. So the Alexis, who owns a really cool store in downtown Austin, he is a brujo, and he just knows all, like, he's one of those, like, he saw me in Lucas's bookshelf and was like, got a lot of the same books. We're like, yeah, we like to dip a toe and everything, and so does he. And he was like, chances are you don't pick up and move and leave something valuable behind. You leave something that you intended to leave behind. And they sealed it. And the
casket?
The church sealed the casket. You know, oh, we couldn't get into it. We really wanted to know what was in there. So it's like,
oh, jeez.
If you moved the haunted house into a place with a sealed casket and demanded to get in there, and they broke it open, so he was hypothesizing that perhaps it was sealed with things that they had retrieved from exorcisms, and that it's like, what are you doing? Why are you opening this? Get this casket out of here and send it back to the church.
Curiosity is definitely what killed the cat. Yes. But it is like us.
Oh, yeah. You're like, ooh.
Why won't it open?
Shiny.
It's empty in the middle, right? Let's open it and see what's inside the empty space.
Yeah, they were so confused when there were just pictures in there. And you're like, no.
This ain't right. This ain't right.
Get it out of here. Get it
That
out
is
of
pretty
here.
cool. Yeah, I mean, people just have like this insatiable desire to know. And I think that's what's driven us in so many different directions. Of like, well, I think, therefore I am. You know? And my mind is still heavily influenced by Western philosophy. And so even though I believe that there is like most of reality we can't explain or understand, and there are things that happen that we can't directly experience, my mind still goes to like, what is the mechanism through which we can communicate with people who don't have bodies? What are they if they don't have bodies? What do they consist of? Like, how, like, can we explain them using particle theory? Can we explain them using, you know, different sort of physics experiments?
Right, the lab coat dogma comes in and tries to, which is,
well, is it something that we can experience over and over again? Like, is it predictable? Like, those are the principles that have been hammered into my...
Oh, one of the channelers on there had been extensively studied by a big college, Berkeley, in California.
Mm-hmm.
And she could do repeatable tests, and they determined that something was going on there, and they didn't know what, because she was so accurate and so profound and could...
They gave it that stamp of ambiguity.
They gave it the stamp of... I didn't look into her, but she has been doing it a very long time, and she was one of the people that was initiated into the channeling space from a near-death experience.
Oh, yeah.
So her brain had been kind of permanently altered. I think she had brain cancer or something like that. I might be totally fudging this up. I'll look her up for next time. But she had been extensively studied, and so was Edgar Cayce. He was also extensively studied by scientists who were like, fuck, yeah. I don't know.
It's something, I don't know what it is.
Because the instruments we have just aren't... I do think with quantum computing, I do think there's a lot of things on the horizon, because I feel like where we're stuck now, it's like radar is inaccurate. Mm-hmm. Meteorology is inaccurate. Mm-hmm. There's so many variables that come into play that alter it, and then we're wrong, and then...
Sort of like ineffectual systems predominate, and they, like, we rely on imprecise tools to measure things.
Where it's like infrared's always been around, but when did we discover infrared? You know, same with ultraviolet rays, X-rays.
Oh, like the spectrum of, what is it called? The fucking...
Full metal corgi, what is that called?
Full metal corgi spectrum?
The full metal corgi spectrum.
Electromagnetic spectrum.
Yeah, like those things were always there. So what haven't we discovered yet based on where we're at right now?
That's the question.
Well, and then there were those Chinese monks who are quantum physicists who are looking for God. Remember when I told you I was packing up my shit and I was leaving?
I gotta
go. Because they are on that. They desperately want that too. They want to marry both realities. But I also think too, man, it's like we've been purposefully fucking just like choked to death by scaffoldings, religious scaffoldings, political scaffoldings to control. And
yeah, because it's hard for us to, you know, take it back to zero.
Oh my gosh, fuck, next time, because I'm hungry and it's the end. They were talking about spiritualists, channelers, oracles, people who had experiences that could not be explained, and were coming up with religions in Europe, and how America became this safe haven for them. They all gathered unrelated to a part of upstate New York called the Burned Over District. And okay, I found it right away. The term Burned Over District refers to the western and parts of central regions of New York State in the early 19th century, where religious revivals and formation of new religious movements of the Second Great Awakening took place. And it was just like they were all just like popping up there in reference where religious revival is related to reform movements of this period, such as abolition, women's rights, utopian social experiments, anti-Masonry, Mormonism, prohibition, vegetarianism, Seventh-day Adventism, and socialist experiments. The Burned Over region expands to include areas of New York where these, like, it was all like,
yeah,
and you're like, shit, what the fuck was going on up there? Like, obviously fuck the Mormons and whatever, but it was like, it was cool to like, you've narrowed it down to a region. Obviously there's a lot of immigrants coming over to New York. They plop there, they stay there, so it makes sense that it's close to there. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to fucking read about that shit.
Like, and then I see my name, Whitney Cross. I'm like, what did I do?
Oh no. I just think that there is, this is like a summation of my whole curiosity into like religion and philosophy.
Yeah, baby.
There is some quality about having, you know, a brain in a meat suit that makes us sort of pine for a higher dimension that is not
because we want to escape. It's what most Hindi people are striving to do. They're like, get me out of here. I don't. The
religion is called Hindu. The language is called Hindi.
Hindu religion.
See, it feels weird when I'm like, no, it's this instead of that.
But you make me sound less like a fucking idiot. Because
you're not a fucking idiot.
I'm not an idiot, but like the connection from the brain to the mouth is like needs help and support.
I got you.
And you understand what I'm conveying.
Yes.
You know, but that's what a lot of those Eastern religions are fucking pining after, is like, ditch this. You guys are obsessed with what you see.
Yeah.
It's like, what if we taught kids meditation and stuff from early on, and what matters and what doesn't matter, and this is an illusion, and this is part of why. Does
that attitude sort of breed discontent in general? Like, we know that
Buddhists peaceful.
Well, I just feel like rejection of the body when we live in a very physical world, it just like makes you hate everything physical.
You need to listen to the last Ram Dass, because it's really fucking good, because he goes over the conflation between pleasure and happiness and lust and peace and like these tantalizing things that we associate solely with manifestation in the third dimension.
Yeah.
And how we have totally confused that for happiness and stuff. And I really enjoyed that, because I like to reject my body half the time.
Yeah.
I pretend that it doesn't
when it's painful.
Or just, when it's uncomfortable, or I always come back to this, the gripe I have with the Big Bang, the spark, the initial. It's like, why did you want to do this? Like,
the initial cause. Yeah, the first movement or whatever.
There was a fissure and a crack and a separation. Or there was sex. God found another God and fucked, and then and then here we are.
Or it's infinite.
Screaming. Or there's always fucking, and then there's always fissuring, and then there's insemination, and then there's birth, and then it's...
I feel like there's something to do with black holes and like maybe
wormholes into black holes into
like some way that a lot of matter and energy interact, like sort of like and then like all of our
Sure. Okay. So I see what you're saying. There was no beginning, because also I think about
it was like the beginning was the end of another thing. You know.
I think about the telescopes that we created, and we look. We're like, actually, it's further. You're like, yeah, of course it's further. Like,
are you talking about James Webb?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's actually it's not 13 billion. It's actually 20. You're like, it's gonna keep going.
It's just gonna keep getting fucking earlier and earlier.
I can't wait till our concepts evolve based on our technology and like what
I think
we
the
know.
more that you and I and people who think and talk and dream and like question
Pee their pants.
Do you have to pee your pants?
Just keep going, babe.
I think that we are etching or making tiny little movements in the right direction.
And then I think
which
about
is
the
only
fossil
direction.
fuel oligarchs that have stolen 100 years. They postulate 100 years worth of progress that we could have made, which feels like that often. It's like we get to it, but also is that natural to get to a point where it's like, okay, we've got the box that keeps the fridge cool. We've got the computers that get smaller and smaller and faster, so there is a level of complacency that isn't like, God, wouldn't it be cool? It's like, no, well, now what? Because now I feel like we're at a point where it's like, I remember being a kid and having in a camper, and my cousin had like a little portable thick black and white TV, and you're like, oh, this is the fucking time.
This is the tits.
But now we're at a point where it's like, well, we've got VR, and you're like, it's like, okay, the computer is thin, it's in your pocket, it has access to a lot of information, so we're like, okay, well, let's put it in our brains, and everybody's like, so then I can be hit up by my boss all the time.
Yikes.
So then I can answer emails. Like, now I feel like we've gotten to a point where it's like, okay, can we deviate from personal I don't know, appetite and kind of just start using it maybe towards something that isn't fucking social media. So
I mean, I think there's a huge push in the opposite direction of technology too. Every time there's advances in technology, there's people who want to sink back into sort of a Luddite existence where they don't have those forms of technology, and they go back to the earth and they're homesteading.
So Utopia is blending both, where you're like, okay, cool, the likes and the thumbs and the subscribers and the farts and the turds, whatever.
Yeah.
We did that. We're done. Like,
that was cool.
Now let's go to the Stargates and the traveling without rockets. And it's like, can we like move this over a few inches to the left? Like,
I was talking yesterday in the bar about how we'll never have teleportation because we have all this fucking infrastructure for moving shit around.
Oh, but it would be so fucking sick. It
would be the sickest, most transformative thing to have as people who share with each other. But we've got ships, we've got planes, we've got cars, we've got highways, we've got roads, we've got hotels, we've got... Everything is based on like...
I want to go to Paris
moving.
For lunch.
Yeah, and if you could teleport, you'd just be like, reach into your portal and grab a koala bear, you know? Because you always
really
wanted
stinky
one.
cheese, Lindenberg cheese. Grab it, pull it back.
Lindbergh. Or Limburger.
Lindenberger's the blimp.
Hindenburg.
It's the stinky blimp, right?
That was beautiful.
The title of this episode is
The Limburger,
Stinky Blimp.
Hindenburg, Stinky Blimp.
To sum things up, different tangent as we get on the...
I just want to keep going forever.
I know, the one I'm editing right now is an hour and 40 minutes. I was like, it's gonna happen in the future. Like, we are 100% gonna do 2-3 hour sessions.
Hello, chicken.
But I like the comments of people who are like, why is this not getting the attention that it needs?
Share it, motherfuckers. I dare you.
You are constantly... it's what Yam just constantly drilled into my head because he was secretly mad that I started my own channel. He's like, I don't understand how anybody would start a channel in this day and age because you have skyscrapers squashing you. Like, there's so... people who've been doing it longer, people who... he would always snarkily tell me it's impossible. to get to where he's at because of how long YouTube's been going. And I was like, but that's not going to stop me.
No way. Like,
And
first and foremost, we do it for us.
First and foremost,
We
is
hope
us
that it
huffing
reaches
our
people.
own farts. But I do like those comments because it's like, okay, so cool. People enjoy, like somebody was telling me, like every Sunday I just sit and I listen to you guys and it's just so nice. And it reminds me of when I found, my first podcast. I'm like, you think like me.
Yeah.
I felt so
Solidarity.
less isolated, and I didn't have friends that I got along with or hung out with. I didn't have coworkers that I got along with, but I could go home and I could turn on my fucking podcast where it
And be
felt
with your
like-
people.
and be with my people. And that was really life-changing. And it was how I vetted Lucas right away. I was like, okay, this guy's cute, but do you like this podcast? Because if you fucking don't, then we cannot be together. And then he took me to a live taping of it in New York City. So I was like,
He's like, I am marrying this woman, whether she likes it or not.
He really did pull out all the stops because he knew I was fucking scrutinizing him from the beginning. I was rejecting his ass, which is probably my inner self knowing that he was the one to be like, you gotta jump through all these hoops that are on fire. You might torch your ass.
I hope you survive, because I kind of like you. That's
You
beautiful.
asshole.
We love him. We love you, Lucas. Keep on doing what you do.
Keep on.
Um,
Do you have any closing bits? Burned over district. Did you write that down?
no, I wrote it down right now. No, I wrote Violent Carve Awakening. And we never talked about it.
It's quick. So I had channeled a message the night before that was not what I wanted to fucking hear. And it had really kind of put me in a funk because I'm already struggling with depression, pregnancy depression. And it's like, cool, this is like the thing I got to hear. And I was kind of opening up to him about it. And he was like, oh, fuck. I was like, what? And he's like, he's getting a ping from his guys.
Yeah.
And he's just like, it's not about you stopping what you're doing. It's about you reprioritizing. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll fucking prioritize. I named a couple people who make my life very chaotic. Oh, I'll just become their best friend and I'll fix their fucking life. So blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't gesticulating or being, I was like, oh, well, I guess that's my calling then, to just stop doing anything that's fun and do this. And the second I said that, Ruby fucking dumped this giant pitcher of water, went all over our food, and like it shattered, and we're laughing because Lucas is like, did you hear it?
Oh, shit.
Did you fucking hear them saying like,
Shut up, Whitney.
and it was funny because it was the first time in public that like the cosm happened in reality.
Yeah.
At that exact moment. Ruby's never done that before. She's always very diligent and careful.
Yeah.
So it was like, Lucas is like, yeah.
Shut up.
You have some fucking work to do. And I'm like,
shit. How do you like being called out?
so I just, for the first time in my life, I was like, felt a little bitch slapped by my guides, and I was just like, fuck you guys.
What the world?
I am stuck there. I see it. I get it. It makes sense. Like,
What's the stuck bit?
the stuck bit is, how do I say it? Like, I have too much going on, and I spend most of my time as a stay-at-home mom doing those things. And then the rest of the time is trying to get dinner done, or like trying to make the home a home, and thinking about it and not being present and getting caught in it and getting upset about certain stuff, and not just, this goes there at this time, be present for this time. But it's hard because when you work from home, my days are so fractured. I get an hour here, I'll get an hour there, 20 minutes here. So I'm not leaving and then coming home. Because when I did go work somewhere, I never brought anything home.
Yeah.
You physically leave it at the place that you work at. So that's like, somebody was, I want to work from home. I'm like, no, you don't. It's one thing if you had an office and you go in and you come out and whatever, but like for me, it's not like that. You know,
Right.
Ruby's not in school 5 days a week and there isn't a specific time. So my whole day gets eaten up. So it's just having awareness about like, how am I supposed to manage more or want this to grow if I can't put what matters in place?
I mean, I just want to keep asking you questions and keep continuing the pod. It just makes me wonder, like, what is the top priority? How are you organizing your approach? Just like step by step, take it day by day. Today I need to do this, later I'll do that. I guess you just have to
It is a lot of shuffling.
take little baby steps.
It's a lot of shuffling, and it's a lot of, well, what makes me happy and what brings me joy, and like this brings me joy, so this should take priority. And then like starting up Bottom Sprocket with Jake and Josh, it's like, camaraderie,
Yeah.
fun, collaboration. This
So
is
fun.
priority. Like trying to see it less as like more work and something I need to get done right away, and versus like, okay, I have to harness the energy I get from the fun that I have
Yeah.
and sit with that and sit in fun with that, and then not like have it overburden and shatter and constantly just trying to get stuff done. Because as you know, editing footage is an endless pit of despair, and the last thing I ever want to do is have that infiltrate who I am. And it has, because it's so easy, and you work from home, so the boundaries are not there, and they cascade. But it takes a lot of discipline. There's no program, there's no there's no tool to reach out to. It's like, no, it's fucking cold ass stale discipline.
Decide what it is you're going to do and then do it.
Or put it away.
That's it.
That's it. Especially like Ruby right now is finally coming out of like the mega cranky toddler meltdown DEFCON shit all the
Yeah.
fucking time, and is like, do you want to draw? And I'm like, yeah, I want to fucking draw. Like, it's so funny too, because I'm also realizing as a mother how much like stress I have from preparing. I've got the ultra wet paper towel, and then I've got the medium wet paper towel, and I've got the dry paper towel because she's gonna ask. Because
Oh shit.
if we don't, I'm gonna crash the car. Because like I have been given like and it's not what somebody I know criticizes me for. It's like, she's doing math by herself. She's 3. You know, it's like I've just been given this like really handfulish task. So now that we're through that, and then I was like, well, maybe that was an escape too. It's like, this is for me. I don't get to watch TV. I don't get to read the books. I don't get to go out. I don't get to do. So this is for me.
Yeah.
And it was also like a way to cope. But then where am I? Where's she? And where are we? And like, you know,
Yeah.
but also it's like, well, that's just how it was. And now it's more pleasant. And now like she took a bath, and there was just, I keep gearing up for her to freak out about something or get really frustrated because she's a frustrated child. Now she's not doing that anymore.
Oh, what a relief. This too shall pass.
Right, and which is what people tell me, and I'm like, yeah, but when I look in how many days until she's 4, that is terrifying. That's
What
a
happens when she's
lifetime.
4?
Well, that's when they say that all this.
Oh, she sort of wakes up from her toddler fever dream.
Well, the toddler's life is done. I mean, it's a transformation. Now they are a little kid.
She's about to be a little kid.
Right, which is like, then you grieve that, and you welcome that, and you know.
She's gonna prefer green grapes to red grape. She already does shit like that, though.
Yeah.
She is an amazing little creature.
Anyways, that was a lot, but yeah.
I asked for it.
You asked.
I like it. I want it. I want you to express it.
Yeah, so that moment at Carve has led, yesterday I was very present. It was very present because of the depression, but also not avoiding the depression and welcoming the depression and accepting the depression and the calamity kind of collapsing a little bit, which felt good. But it's still sad in a way. It's weird. It's because you're not like pining for the dopamine anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's so like attractive to sink into golden memories or like your bombastic expectations, you know?
Or your craft or your art, and you're like, don't bother me.
But that in itself is being present with whatever you're working on.
Yes, and it's about balance.
Yeah, you can't just spend time, you know, in your workshop making your little hobby
how
bits.
How much fucking what's it called, abrasion am I producing by swinging from trying to get this thing done to
abrasion in your own life or in
my own life
relation to others,
into trying to keep the house at a remotely non, you know.
What works for me is like making it into a game because I like to play. And I've noticed that you don't really use fantasy in any way. You're more grounded in like real, true, scary, terrifying events. But what if you tried to play?
Yeah, play doesn't resonate with me because I don't know why. But today, like this was a disaster zone. Oh. But if I don't think about it, tap into the flow zone, just like with channeling. Like, just don't fucking think about it. Just get in it. It's done. There's no weight or abrasion or strife. It's just like, oh, it's done. Yeah. That was easy. Turning the brain off. It's like really just bringing those elements of meditation into the day-to-day.
Yeah, and I think your history of meditation is really valuable in that way. How it helps you regain control.
Right, and I think things got so off kilter because I had stopped meditating for weeks. It's the longest break I've ever taken from meditating because I was just tired and I just put that shit on the back burner. But then you realize like how, I guess, integral that is to my existence.
The same way that stories and playing are to mine.
Mm-hmm.
I always use stories to distract myself into doing things. Like, hey, this is not what you think it is. Like, this is a way funner and cooler thing, and now you're doing it. Look, I fooled you.
And that's why you need to teach.
I know. I'm so excited about the kid thing. Like, that's gonna be a whole new level of existence, you know?
And it's gonna fill up, and it's gonna be like, because it's community driven, it just, I was thinking about it too. I was like, man, okay, these are small adults that need to learn about food. It's not about like making it a game or making unicorn jelly. It's like, it's
not about distracting them. It's like engaging them.
It's engaging them. And I there's this thing that's like cycling the internet. It's called like Tokyo French toast or something, where it's like layers of bread with black sesame in between them, and then you dip it in like tea steeped milk, and then you batter it, and then you fry it. And I was like, I need to eat this. Children will like to eat this. We will eat this together. You know, it's like this. It's also like waking them up from the stupid American culinary slumber that a lot of us.
Yeah, I mean, everybody experiences ruts in their habits. Because if something works, then you keep doing it. And then you're like, I'm fucking tired of this thing that used to work.
Yeah, I'm trying to permeate that too, because it's like the guy that you sent me, Chucky
Cruz.
It's like, okay, there's something here that makes me excited to cook. Oh, it's, you know, but because it's different, and it's like bringing awareness about that, and
I spend a lot of time looking at recipes, like cruising, just like, what's this? Oh, what's this? Like, I'm gonna look this up. What's this?
And I hate Google sometimes because it's like the dumb live, love, laugh, slow cooker shit just shoots straight to the top, and you're like, okay, you guys, there's really, really good food out there, and why is this the first thing that comes up?
I always get like a hit of moral superiority when I like scroll down. I'm like, guess what? I'm not gonna click on the first link that I see, and somehow I'm like, I'm better than everyone else for doing that. It's like everybody clicks on it because it must be good in some way, it's filling some need.
I made a recipe, and then I got to the spice section. I was like, oh fuck, why the fuck did I pick this? Because I knew that this person was wrong. An eighth of a teaspoon. An eighth of a teaspoon. We're not baking. Baking is when measurements are really important.
Right.
This is cooking, and this is the spice section, and you just gave me an eighth of a teaspoon. Like, I knew I had fucked myself, and I was right because I made it, and it was so fucking bland. I was like, do you want to know why? It's because you use an eighth of a teaspoon in something. It's like such a minuscule. You might as well just do a pinch.
That is equivalent to a pinch, I would say. So the way that I cook is like from the hip, make it happen. So then when people want to recreate that, I'm like, oh, I guess I should write it down for you. I'm like, what the fuck? Half a teaspoon. What is that? Yeah, that works. So if a recipe is not well vetted, then it's just their like weird brain fart of what they think they did, like trying to reproduce it. And
which I feel like a lot of Bon Appetit, like Bon Appetit has a lot of like cool and unique stuff that makes me go, oh, okay, that sounds good. But then I'm like, you didn't make this.
There's no way you made this.
You didn't make
using
this.
These instructions.
And then in the reviews, people are like, you didn't make this.
Yeah, right. So it's frustrating because you have to like have that kind of intuition about food. Like, this doesn't make sense, you know?
And we were also talking about how timing is so important. Mm-hmm. If you're pulling, like last night there were 3 different vegetables happening, and they're all being cooked in various ways.
Yeah.
Nailing that timing is hard. You don't want anything to go cold. Mm-hmm. You want it all to be crispy and perfect.
But you can also incorporate that into your planning of the meal. Because if you make like a squishy thing and like a crispy
crunch thing,
you make the squishy thing ahead of time and then focus on the crispy thing and then serve when the crispy thing's ready, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can.
Did you guys hear that?
Infinite.
Dude, I fucking made a pot pie the other day, and my vegetables were al dente.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew that my dick had grown 7 inches that day. Because it was not squishy.
Absolutely.
The turnips were toothsome.
Ooh.
The edamame was toothsome.
Yes.
I was like, oh, I fucking nailed this.
I am so hungry right now.
Goodbye for the 800.
Goodbye for now.
Let's see how long we've been on. How many? An hour and 40. Fucking.
What can I do? You're fucking interesting to talk to. I like to talk, and it's something that we do. Did you get new towels?
I did. Because I went to Marshall's because I was looking for the mortar and pestle, and I was like, I have no kitchen towels, and I closed my eyes because they're all hideous at Marshall's. I'm just like, all you guys would have to do is put hairy scrotums on these, and they'd be hilarious, and I'd buy all of them. But I was like feeling them because that's what matters.
Nice.
When you're picking out a kitchen towel, it's like how dense it is, how absorbent it is. They're also big, which I like too.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. I love it. Let's go get some lunch. Do you want to?
Where do you want to go to? Where do you want to go?
Anywhere that has food.
Bye, guys. It's food time.
Bye.
You want some onigiri? Baby, my puppy.
Yes.